Part 1. The New Girl. At Cedarwood High, the routine was always the same. The bell rang, students shuffled to their next class, and teachers droned on about subjects that seemed irrelevant to the tumultuous lives of teenagers. For Leo Thompson, a sophomore with an affinity for books and an aversion to the spotlight, it was a typical Tuesday morning until he saw her. She stood by the lockers, a new face in the sea of familiar ones. Her auburn hair cascaded over her shoulders, and her green eyes sparkled with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Leo couldn't take his eyes off her. He'd heard about the new student joining their class, but he hadn't paid much attention. Now, he wished he had. In the homeroom, the teacher introduced her as Emma Collins. Leo watched as she scanned the room, her gaze briefly meeting his. He felt a jolt of something: excitement, nervousness, hope. He wasn't sure. All he knew was that he wanted to know more about Emma, but his shyness held him back. Leo's best friend, Max, nudged him. "You okay, man? You look like you've seen a ghost." Leo forced a smile. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just tired." Max shrugged and turned his attention back to his phone. Leo glanced at Emma once more. She was talking to the teacher, her voice too soft to hear. Leo's mind raced with possibilities. What if he talked to her? What if she liked the same books he did? What if they became friends? Or maybe even more? He shook his head, dismissing the thoughts as quickly as they came. It was just a crush, and he was just a shy, bookish boy. Emma Collins probably wouldn't even remember his name. But for the first time in a long while, Leo felt a spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, things could be different. Part 2. A Shared Class. The days passed, and Leo found himself increasingly aware of Emma's presence in school. She seemed to adapt quickly, making new friends and settling into her classes. Leo's resolve to talk to her wavered each time he saw her surrounded by other students. He couldn't shake off the feeling that he was invisible in comparison. It was Thursday afternoon during English class that Leo's opportunity presented itself. Mrs. Harlow, their English teacher, was a firm believer in group projects. She announced with her usual enthusiasm, "Today, we'll be starting a new project on classic literature. I've already paired you up, so find your partner and start discussing your ideas." Leo glanced around the room, his heart pounding. When Mrs. Harlow called his name, he almost didn't hear it. "Leo Thompson, you'll be working with Emma Collins." His stomach did a flip. Max, sitting next to him, gave him a playful nudge. "Looks like your lucky day, man." Leo managed a weak smile. He gathered his things and walked over to where Emma was sitting. She looked up and gave him a friendly smile. "Hi, Leo, right?" Yeah. "Hi, Emma," he stammered, feeling his cheeks grow warm. "So, classic literature. Do you have any favorites?" Emma's eyes lit up. "Actually, I love Pride and Prejudice." "What about you?" Leo's heart raced. "That's one of my favorites, too. I love the way Austen critiques social structures, and the character development is just amazing." Emma's smile widened. "Exactly. I think we'll make a great team." As they discussed their project, Leo found himself relaxing. Emma was easy to talk to, and they shared a lot of the same thoughts on the book. For the first time, he felt like he had a chance to get to know her better. When the bell rang, signaling the end of class, Emma looked at him. "Do you want to meet up after school to work on this? Maybe at the library?" Leo's heart soared. "Yeah, that sounds great." As he walked to his next class, he couldn't help but smile. Maybe he wasn't so invisible after all, and maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something special. Part 3. After School at the Library. The school day seemed to drag on endlessly for Leo. Each class felt longer than the last, and he couldn't stop thinking about his meeting with Emma after school. By the time the final bell rang, his nerves were a tangled mess of excitement and anxiety. He made his way to the library, clutching his copy of Pride and Prejudice. The library was quiet, filled with the soft rustling of pages and the occasional whisper. Leo scanned the room and spotted Emma at a table in the back, already immersed in a book. "Hey," he said, approaching her. Emma looked up and smiled. "Hey, Leo. Ready to dive into some Austen?" "Absolutely," he replied, taking a seat across from her. They began by discussing the themes they wanted to explore in their project. Emma's enthusiasm was infectious, and Leo found himself more comfortable with each passing minute. They debated the merits of various characters, laughed over Mr. Collins's absurdity, and shared their favorite quotes. I always loved the scene where Elizabeth stands up to Lady Catherine, Emma said, her eyes sparkling. It's such a powerful moment for her character. Yeah, that part is great, Leo agreed. It's one of those moments that really shows her strength and independence. As they talked, Leo realized how easy it was to be around Emma. She was kind, thoughtful, and genuinely interested in what he had to say. For a moment, he forgot about his usual shyness. After an hour, they had outlined their project and gathered enough notes to get started. Emma closed her notebook and looked at Leo. This was really fun. We make a good team. Leo felt a warmth spread through him. Yeah, we do. I'm looking forward to working more on this. Emma glanced at the clock. I should get going, but we can meet up again tomorrow, same time? Sure, sounds good, Leo said. See you then. As Emma gathered her things and waved goodbye, Leo couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. Not only had he spent time with the girl he liked, but he had also found a friend in her. Walking home, he replayed their conversation in his mind, each moment making him smile. For the first time, he felt like he was part of something more, something special. And that hope, faint but growing, filled him with a newfound determination. Part 4. Study Sessions and Growing Closer. The next few weeks flew by in a blur of schoolwork, study sessions, and shared laughter. Every day, Leo looked forward to their meetings in the library. It became a routine. Emma would grab a table in the back, and Leo would bring snacks to share. Their project on Pride and Prejudice was coming along nicely, but more importantly, they were getting to know each other. One rainy afternoon, the library was especially quiet. Emma and Leo sat side by side, their heads bent over their notes. Emma's brow furrowed as she scribbled a thought in her notebook. Leo watched her for a moment, admiring the way her concentration made her green eyes even more intense. Hey, Emma, he said softly. She looked up, her expression curious. Yeah? Do you ever think about what it would be like to live in the world of Pride and Prejudice? Like, would you want to be Elizabeth Bennet? Emma laughed, a sound that warmed Leo's heart. I think it would be fascinating. I mean, the social constraints would be tough, but Elizabeth's strength and wit make her stand out. I'd like to think I'd be a bit like her, standing up for what I believe in. Leo nodded. I think you would be, too. You're pretty strong and determined. Emma blushed slightly, ducking her head. Thanks, Leo. That means a lot. They continued to work, the silence between them now filled with a comfortable companionship. As they packed up their things to leave, Emma turned to Leo. Hey, I've been thinking. We always meet here, but do you want to hang out somewhere else sometime? Maybe catch a movie or something? Leo's heart skipped a beat. Was this an invitation to spend time together outside of school? He tried to keep his excitement in check. Yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to. Awesome, Emma said, smiling. There's a new movie out this weekend. How about Saturday? Perfect, Leo replied, trying not to let his voice betray his happiness. I'll see you then. As they parted ways, Leo felt like he was walking on air. He couldn't believe how far he'd come from that shy, invisible boy. Emma had brought out a confidence in him that he didn't know he had, and now he had a real chance to spend time with her, outside the confines of their project. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. Part 5. The Movie Date. Saturday arrived, and Leo found himself more nervous than he had ever been. He stood in front of his mirror, trying on different shirts, adjusting his hair, and wondering if he should bring flowers. In the end, he settled on a casual yet neat outfit and decided against the flowers, fearing it might be too much. When he arrived at the movie theater, Emma was already there, waiting by the entrance. She looked different outside of school, more relaxed, yet just as radiant. Leo took a deep breath and walked over to her. Hey, Emma, he greeted, trying to keep his voice steady. Hey, Leo, she replied with a bright smile. I'm glad you could make it. Wouldn't miss it for the world, he said, and then instantly worried it sounded too eager. They bought their tickets and some popcorn, then made their way into the dimly lit theater. As they found their seats and the movie started, Leo felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was different from their library study sessions. It felt more like a date, though neither of them had called it that. Throughout the movie, Leo couldn't help but steal glances at Emma. She seemed completely absorbed in the film, her eyes reflecting the flickering light from the screen. At one point, their hands brushed in the popcorn bucket, and Leo felt a jolt of electricity. They both pulled back quickly, but then Emma giggled softly and left her hand resting on the armrest between them. Tentatively, Leo reached over and took her hand in his. She squeezed it gently, and they stayed like that for the rest of the movie. When the credits rolled and the lights came up, Leo felt a wave of contentment. They left the theater, still holding hands, and walked to a nearby cafe for some ice cream. As they sat down with their cones, Emma looked at Leo with a thoughtful expression. "This was really fun," she said. "I'm glad we did this." "Me too," Leo agreed, feeling more confident now. "I was kind of nervous, to be honest." Emma laughed. "So was I. But I'm really glad we came. I like spending time with you, Leo. You're easy to talk to, and you make me feel comfortable." Leo's heart swelled at her words. "I feel the same way, Emma. You're amazing." They talked for hours, about everything and nothing, until the sun began to set. As they walked back to their meeting spot, Emma turned to Leo with a smile. "Let's do this again sometime, okay?" "Absolutely," Leo replied, feeling a surge of happiness. As they said goodbye and went their separate ways, Leo couldn't stop smiling. The day had been perfect, and he felt closer to Emma than ever. For the first time, he dared to believe that maybe his feelings weren't as one-sided as he had feared, and that hope gave him the courage to keep moving forward. Part 6. A New Bond. The following week at school, Leo felt a noticeable shift in his world. The usual monotony was now punctuated with moments of anticipation and excitement. He and Emma had started to share more than just their English project. They exchanged jokes in the hallways, chatted between classes, and texted late into the night. During one of their library study sessions, Emma seemed particularly enthusiastic. "Guess what?" she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "What?" Leo asked, curious. "I signed us up for the literary club's upcoming debate. It's on the importance of character development in classic literature." Leo felt a rush of both excitement and nervousness. "Really? That sounds amazing, but I've never done anything like that before." Emma reached over and squeezed his hand reassuringly. "You'll be great, Leo. You know more about these books than anyone I know. Plus, we make a good team, remember?" Leo smiled, feeling bolstered by her confidence. "All right, let's do it." They spent the next few days preparing for the debate, diving deep into their favorite novels and discussing various characters' arcs and their significance. Emma's passion and enthusiasm were infectious, and Leo found himself growing more confident with each passing day. The day of the debate arrived, and Leo stood backstage with Emma, feeling a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The auditorium was filled with students and teachers, all eagerly waiting for the event to begin. Emma turned to him, her face full of encouragement. "We've got this, Leo. Just remember to breathe and speak from your heart." He nodded, taking a deep breath. When their turn came, they walked onto the stage together. Leo's initial nervousness melted away as they began their presentation. They spoke passionately about their favorite characters, seamlessly bouncing ideas off each other. The audience was captivated, and by the time they finished, they received enthusiastic applause. After the debate, several students and teachers came up to congratulate them. Max, who had been in the audience, gave Leo a thumbs up. "You guys were awesome," Leo beamed, feeling a sense of accomplishment. But the best moment came when Emma hugged him tightly. "I knew you could do it, Leo. You were amazing." "Thanks, Emma. I couldn't have done it without you." As they walked out of the auditorium, Emma looped her arm through Leo's. "I'm really glad we're friends, Leo. You've become such an important part of my life." Leo's heart swelled with happiness. "You too, Emma. I'm really glad we met." They spent the rest of the afternoon celebrating their success. Over milkshakes at their favorite cafe, they laughed, reminisced about their journey so far, and dreamed about the future. Leo knew that his feelings for Emma had only grown stronger, but he also knew that their friendship was precious, and he didn't want to risk losing it. So, for now, he was content to enjoy the moments they shared and the bond they had formed. As the sun set and they said their goodbyes, Leo felt a deep sense of gratitude. Meeting Emma had changed his life in ways he had never imagined, and he couldn't wait to see where their journey would take them next. Part 7. Unspoken Feelings. The weeks passed in a happy blur of study sessions, text messages, and shared adventures. Leo and Emma grew closer, and their bond deepened with each passing day. Leo cherished their time together, but wrestled with a growing dilemma. His feelings for Emma were no longer just a crush. He was falling for her, hard. One Friday afternoon, Leo and Emma decided to take a break from their usual routine and explore the local park. The autumn leaves had turned vibrant shades of red and gold, creating a picturesque setting. They wandered along the winding paths, chatting and laughing, enjoying the crisp air. As they walked, they found a secluded bench beneath a sprawling oak tree. Emma sat down and patted the spot beside her. "Come on, Leo, let's take a break." He joined her, feeling the familiar warmth of her presence. They sat in comfortable silence for a few moments, watching the leaves drift lazily to the ground. "You know, Leo," Emma began, her voice soft, "I've been thinking a lot about this past year. So much has changed since I moved here." Leo turned to her, his heart pounding. "Yeah, a lot has changed. I'm really glad you came to Cedarwood, Emma. It's been amazing." She smiled, a touch of sadness in her eyes. "Me too. But I also know that sometimes things change in ways we don't expect." Leo felt a pang of anxiety. "What do you mean?" Emma looked down at her hands, fiddling with a fallen leaf. "I've been offered a scholarship to a boarding school. It's a great opportunity, and my parents think I should take it." Leo's world seemed to tilt. "A boarding school? When would you have to leave?" "After the holidays," Emma said quietly. "I haven't made a decision yet, but it's been weighing on my mind." Leo struggled to process the news. The thought of Emma leaving was like a punch to the gut. He couldn't imagine Cedarwood without her, but he also knew he couldn't hold her back from such an incredible opportunity. "That's amazing, Emma," he said, forcing a smile. "You deserve it." She looked up, her eyes glistening. "Thanks, Leo. I'm just scared. I don't want to leave everything behind. I don't want to leave you behind." Leo's heart ached. He wanted to tell her everything, that he liked her, that she meant more to him than she knew, but the words caught in his throat. Instead, he reached over and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "Whatever you decide, Emma, I'll support you. We'll figure it out together." She smiled through her tears. "Thank you, Leo. You're the best friend anyone could ask for." As they sat there, hand in hand, Leo realized that he couldn't let her go without telling her how he felt. But he also knew that now wasn't the right moment. Emma needed his support, not his confession. As they walked back through the park, Leo resolved to make the most of the time they had left. He would cherish every moment, and when the time was right, he would find the courage to tell Emma how much she meant to him. For now, he was content to be by her side, holding her hand, and hoping for a future where they wouldn't have to say goodbye. Part 8. The Christmas Dance. As the holidays approached, Cedarwood High was abuzz with excitement for the annual Christmas dance. The school gym was transformed into a winter wonderland, complete with twinkling lights, a giant Christmas tree, and festive decorations. Leo and Emma had been looking forward to the event, eager for a night of fun and celebration amidst the uncertainty of Emma's impending decision. The night of the dance arrived, and Leo stood in front of his mirror, adjusting his tie for what felt like the 100th time. He took a deep breath, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. This night felt important, and he was determined to make it special for Emma. When he arrived at Emma's house to pick her up, he was stunned by how beautiful she looked. Emma wore a simple yet elegant green dress that highlighted her auburn hair and brought out the sparkle in her eyes. She smiled when she saw him, and Leo's heart skipped a beat. "You look amazing, Emma," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Thanks, Leo. You look pretty great yourself," she replied, her cheeks tinged with a hint of pink. They walked to the school together, the air filled with the sounds of laughter and holiday cheer. Inside the gym, the dance was in full swing. Music played, couples danced, and friends gathered in groups, enjoying the festive atmosphere. Leo and Emma found a spot on the dance floor and started dancing. At first, they were a bit awkward, laughing at their own clumsiness, but soon they found their rhythm. The night felt magical, and for a while, Leo forgot about the uncertainty of the future. He was just happy to be with Emma, enjoying the moment. As a slow song began to play, Leo took a deep breath and held out his hand. "May I have this dance?" Emma giggled, taking his hand. "Of course." They moved closer, and Leo felt his heart pound as he wrapped his arms around her. She rested her head on his shoulder, and they swayed to the music, surrounded by the twinkling lights and the soft glow of the Christmas tree. "Leo," Emma whispered, "I've been thinking a lot about the scholarship. It's such a great opportunity, but what?" Leo asked gently, his heart racing. Emma lifted her head to look at him, her eyes searching his. "But I don't want to leave everything behind. I don't want to leave you behind." Leo's breath caught in his throat. This was his chance. "Emma, I need to tell you something," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "You're more than just a friend to me. I care about you a lot, more than I've ever cared about anyone." Emma's eyes widened, and for a moment Leo feared he had said too much. But then she smiled, her eyes shining with tears. "Leo, I care about you too. You've become such an important part of my life." Leo felt a surge of relief and joy. "I don't want you to go, Emma, but I also don't want to hold you back. Whatever you decide, I'll be here for you." Emma nodded, her smile bittersweet. "Thank you, Leo. That means everything to me." They held each other tightly as the song ended, neither wanting to let go. For that moment, the future didn't matter. All that mattered was the warmth of their embrace and the promise of their friendship, no matter where life took them. As the dance continued, Leo and Emma stayed close, savoring every moment. The uncertainty of tomorrow loomed, but for tonight, they were together, and that was enough. Part 9: Decisions and Realizations. The days following the Christmas dance were filled with a mix of joy and tension. Leo and Emma continued to spend time together, but the looming decision about Emma's scholarship hung over them like a cloud. As the holidays approached, Cedarwood was covered in a blanket of snow, adding a sense of calm and stillness to the town. One chilly afternoon, Leo and Emma decided to visit their favorite cafe for hot chocolate. The warmth of the cafe was a welcome contrast to the biting cold outside. They sat by the window, watching the snowflakes drift down, their hands wrapped around steaming mugs. "Leo," Emma began, breaking the comfortable silence, "I've been thinking a lot about our conversation at the dance." Leo looked up, his heart beating a little faster. "Yeah?" Emma nodded, her expression serious. "I don't want to leave Cedarwood. I don't want to leave you. But this scholarship, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." Leo swallowed hard, trying to hide his disappointment. "I know. It's a big deal, Emma. You should take it if you think it's the right thing for you." Emma reached across the table and took his hand. "But what's the right thing, Leo? I'm so torn. Part of me wants to stay here, with you, and the other part knows I should go and take this chance." Leo squeezed her hand, feeling the weight of his unspoken feelings. "Whatever you decide, Emma, I'll support you. I just want you to be happy." Emma smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "You always know the right thing to say. I wish it were that simple." The next few days were a whirlwind of holiday preparations and family gatherings. Leo tried to push his worries to the back of his mind, focusing instead on the joy of the season. But the thought of Emma leaving gnawed at him constantly. On Christmas Eve, Leo's family hosted their annual party. The house was filled with laughter, music, and the smell of delicious food. Leo enjoyed the festivities, but a part of him was distracted, hoping for a chance to talk to Emma. As the party wound down and guests began to leave, Leo slipped out to the backyard, seeking a moment of quiet. The night was clear, the sky full of stars, and the ground covered in a sparkling layer of snow. He took a deep breath, letting the cold air fill his lungs. "Leo!" He turned to see Emma standing at the back door, wrapped in a warm coat and scarf. She walked over to him, her breath visible in the frosty air. "Hey, Emma. I didn't expect to see you tonight." "I couldn't stop thinking about our conversation," she admitted. "I needed to talk to you." Leo nodded, his heart pounding. What's on your mind? Emma took a deep breath, looking up at the stars for a moment before meeting his gaze. I've made my decision. I'm going to take the scholarship. Leo felt a sharp pang of sadness, but he forced a smile. That's great, Emma. I'm proud of you. She stepped closer, her eyes full of emotion. But that doesn't mean I want to lose what we have. I'm scared, Leo. Scared of losing you. Leo reached out and took her hands in his. You won't lose me, Emma. No matter where you go, I'll always be here for you. We can make this work. We'll find a way. Emma's eyes filled with tears and she nodded. I believe you, Leo. I'm going to miss you so much. I'll miss you too, he whispered, pulling her into a hug. They stood there for a long time, holding each other in the quiet, snowy night. In that moment, Leo realized that even though their future was uncertain, their bond was strong enough to withstand the distance. They would find a way to make it work, no matter what. As they pulled apart, Emma smiled through her tears. Merry Christmas, Leo. Merry Christmas, Emma. They walked back into the house together, hand in hand, ready to face whatever the future held. For now, they had each other, and that was enough. Part 10. The Promise. The new year arrived, and with it, the reality of Emma's impending departure. The days seemed to pass faster than ever, each one bringing them closer to the day she would leave for the boarding school. Leo and Emma spent as much time together as possible, savoring each moment and creating memories they hoped would last. On Emma's last day in Cedarwood, Leo met her at the park where they had first truly connected. The winter chill was biting, but the clear sky and bright sunshine made the day feel hopeful despite the circumstances. They walked through the park, reminiscing about their time together. Remember that debate? Emma said, laughing. I was so nervous, but you made it so much fun. Yeah, Leo replied, smiling. I still can't believe we won. You were amazing. Emma's smile faded slightly as they reached the bench under the oak tree. They sat down, and Leo took her hand, feeling the familiar warmth. Leo, she began softly, I want you to know that meeting you has been the best part of moving here. You've made this place feel like home. Leo's heart ached, but he squeezed her hand, determined to stay strong. You've been the best part of my year too, Emma. I'll never forget the time we've spent together. They sat in silence for a while, watching the world go by. Finally, Emma turned to him, her eyes shining with determination. I want to make a promise, Leo. No matter what happens, no matter where we are, we'll stay in touch. We'll write letters, call, visit whenever we can. We won't let this distance break us apart. Leo nodded, his throat tight with emotion. I promise, Emma. We'll stay in touch, and we'll make this work. I believe in us. Emma leaned in, and for a moment, the world seemed to stand still. Their lips met in a gentle, lingering kiss, a promise sealed with love and hope. When they pulled apart, Leo saw the tears in her eyes, mirroring his own. I'll miss you every day, Emma whispered. I'll miss you too, Leo replied. But this isn't goodbye, it's just, see you later. They stood up and walked back to Emma's house, hand in hand. At the doorstep, they hugged tightly, neither wanting to let go. Finally, Emma pulled back, her smile brave despite her tears. Goodbye, Leo. Thank you for everything. Goodbye, Emma. Take care, and don't forget our promise. I won't, she assured him. I'll write to you as soon as I get there. With one last smile, Emma turned and walked inside. Leo stood there for a moment, watching the door close behind her, feeling a mix of sadness and hope. He knew their journey was far from over. It was just beginning in a new way. The days that followed were filled with an emptiness that Leo had expected but wasn't entirely prepared for. Yet, true to their promise, a letter from Emma arrived a few days later. Her words brought a sense of comfort and connection, and Leo wrote back immediately. As the weeks turned into months, their letters became a lifeline. They shared their experiences, their dreams, and their hopes for the future. Each letter was a reminder of the bond they shared, a bond that distance could not break. Leo knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he and Emma would face them together. Their friendship had grown into something deep and enduring, something that would withstand the tests of time and distance. And as he looked forward to the future, he felt a sense of peace, knowing that some connections were too strong to ever truly be broken.